at the age of 40, this guy called Kafka, who was from Germany, Berlin, he lived all his life being confusing everybody. His story is amazing by itself, but we're not focusing on his story today. We're focusing on this amazing journey that he had with this little girl in the span of 1 year. So one day, Kafka was walking in a park somewhere in Berlin, and he met a girl who was crying, and he was, really like just wanted to help her. What is happening? And the girl just, went to him and started complaining that she lost her doll. And of course, he's in his 40s, and by the way, this guy never got married, didn't have any kids, so the girl just saw him as, a father figure. So he left everything and he started looking for the doll with the little girl. So they went around the park looking for the doll. And after like a long time, after going around the park, when they couldn't find the doll, of course, the girl was very devastated, but he promised her that if we meet here tomorrow again, we'll continue to look for the doll. So a day passed. The next day they met at the park, and they went round again looking for the doll. But this time around, Kafka came with a letter, and once they were done looking for the doll and he couldn't find it, he just decided to give this letter to this girl. And the letter said, "Hey, I am, please don't cry. I decided to take a trip around the world, and I will be, sending you letters to keep you updated with my adventure and my traveling and everything that I see around the world." So the girl was, of course, she was sad, but she was happy for the doll, that the doll walked, at least the doll is, experiencing life and going, in this adventure, traveling around the world. And so that went by. But remember, since the first letter said that, I'm going to keep you informed, I'm going to tell you what's happening. So Kafka continued meeting this girl at the park, and he continued reading letters one after another to the girl from the doll, about the adventure and what the doll is experiencing and everything. But, all these shenanigans had to, to end at some point. So one day, the guy, Kafka, brought a new doll to the girl. Of course, he bought the doll. And the girl, of course, was like, "This is not my doll. It doesn't look like my doll." And Kafka gave the little girl a letter written, "I've traveled the world, so I have changed." And traveling the world, of course, has changed me. So the little girl hugged the doll, was really, really happy, and she went home and she was, excited that she has found the doll again. Anyway, a year later, Kafka died. He died around 1924 when he was just 41 years old. So that happened during, when he was 40 until when he was 41. And later on, when this girl had grown up, now she's like a young adult, she was checking the dolls, like she was going down the memory lane, and she found this little note inside the doll that was signed by Kafka, of course, and it was written, "Everything you love will probably be lost, but in the end, love will return in another way." My name is Nahuja Hatibu, and this is What I Know, the podcast. Welcome to my space. Guys, welcome back to my podcast. Thank you guys so much for even being here, listening and watching. So I'm really, really excited because it's happening on my birthday month. And just like that story, it really reflects on all this journey and travels that we do throughout life. And people who know me, they know that during April, during my birthday, I love to reflect of what I've done the last 1 year. But as I am turning 35 this year, I've really reflected on what I have learned, especially in my career in the last 15 plus years, because I started working even when I was still in college. And it's so amazing, just like the doll. Of course, there are a lot of personal things that I can share, but I feel like, at this age, it's more about, what you have to do every day to survive, to grow your career, to grow yourself, to grow your finances, to have stability in life, and so on and so forth. But just like, have you ever seen those pictures when you're young and you just look like you're out of place? And then now you look at your photos now and you're like, wow, I don't know if the cameras were really bad back then, but it just feels like we were that doll that got lost, and that now we're back and we're brand new, and we've been around traveling, and now we've changed, and now we're wiser, and now we understand how the world works. And as much as we're still learning, because I know when I turn 40, God help me to turn 40. When I turn 40, I'll probably have another podcast. I promise to be here. I'll have another podcast, and probably I'll say different things of that I've learned for the past 5 years since this episode. So I feel so close to that story. I feel like even when it comes to Kafka and the doll being lost, but this guy really helped the girl seeing, what she has lost. It's not something that she had to cry over. She gained, better stuff later. And just like in our career and in our personal life, every day we feel like we have lost time, we have lost sometimes opportunities, we have lost that deal, we have lost that moment, and sometimes maybe we feel like we've wasted time with people, we've wasted money. But at the end of the day, honestly speaking, sometimes it comes back, and it comes back better, and we go through all that to learn so we can be better and greater as we grow older. So I want to share really quickly 20 things that I've learned in the last 35 years on this earth, but probably the last 15 plus years of me working. And I've made a lot of mistakes. I've gone through a lot of failures and successes throughout those years. And I feel like I'm still learning, but when I was sitting down and I was writing about this podcast, I really, really just went deep and searched deep and looked at every situation that I've gone through, and I wrote something down. So I hope you guys don't get bored. I'm going to go through them straight to the point, but I hope you gain 1 or 2 points and learn something from me, especially from my failures. Now, the first thing that I wrote was success is personal. And that is something that I have learned the hard way. We tend to have this, put ourselves in this pedestal that we want to be successful, what success looks like. But I felt like as I grew older, right now, or the last few years, I feel like success is personal. It's not just about wealth and fame. It's not about material things. It's not about what the society or other people say about you, or what they have envisioned for you, or what the society thinks that at a certain age you're supposed to have been married, have kids, and have attained a certain type of life. It's not like that. Success is personal. As long as you are achieving your personal goals, as long as you're finding fulfillment in what you do, you're changing other people's life, you're finding life purpose, it doesn't matter what stage you are in your life, is success to you. And that is great. I'm going to share a really quick story. Like, I remember when I was in college and I was with my father in the car, and I asked him, of course, this guy has achieved a lot, he has done amazing stuff over the years, and for me I was like, this guy is successful, like, what he's doing. But I asked him, what is success to you? And I remember vividly he answered that as long as I take care of my family and I take care of my parents, I'm successful. So sometimes success means something different at a certain age, a certain step in your life, a certain time in your life. It might have meant something different 10 years ago. Even for me, success meant something totally different back then. the second part was taking risk. I looked at all the things that I've done, and I know sometimes we get so excited about this business ideas, we get so excited about a new venture and everything, but to me, taking risk is not what other, motivational gurus talk about, or marketing guru, all these people who have been successful. They've been successful because they made a lot of mistakes. Taking risk, it's important, but also it's important to know you're taking that risk against what. Sometimes you don't have the capability of taking that risk at that particular time. Maybe you needed to learn the industry more. Maybe you needed to do more research. Maybe you needed to actually be financial a bit stable. Maybe you needed to meet more people in that industry in order to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Sometimes I feel like we're taking risk because we just got a bulb and we have this great idea and we're thinking it's gonna change the world and I'm gonna be a millionaire tomorrow. But we don't really, when we're like, without taking risk, you're not gonna go far, you're not gonna make it in life. But we need to be careful what kind of risk we're taking, and we need to really make sure that we have really calculated all the risk around it. That leads to new opportunities and personal growth more than materialistic growth, and just making sure that we understand that it's a risk for a reason, and it does not really help, or it does not really hinder you from achieving other things or living your daily life just because you wanted to be an entrepreneur and taking a risk. And then third point, which I feel like it's a following up on that point, was not everybody can be an entrepreneur. I have been an entrepreneur for the longest time. Like even when I was being employed, when I was working under somebody, when I was working on a project, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always felt like I am that kind of person who I cannot work under somebody. I need to do things on my own. I am built for that. But man, I found it very late that entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I've met a lot of people who went to entrepreneurship and went back to being employed. I found a lot of people living miserable life. It's not easy for everybody. So I always advise people who are getting into entrepreneurship to always have a steady income, whichever that steady income is, something that will be equivalent to having a salary every month, because entrepreneurship is really, really hard. And I don't want to sugarcoat it. I think that the internet, the world out there is painting this beautiful picture about what entrepreneurship is, but in real sense, we're not talking about, mental health entrepreneurship journey, how people are feeling alone, people who are giving up, some people even committing suicide because they've failed in something. And it's so, because we're in that thrill of what's the next big thing, what's the next big deal, what's the next big tender, what's the next big project. It just can break you down every day. And you wake up one day and you just realize, you know what? As much as I am smart, as much as I can do things, entrepreneurship is not for me. And it's okay to go back to work. It's okay to quit that company. It's okay to quit that business and start over again. It's fine. So with that, I have learned the hard way. It's not for everybody. Now, when I'm talking about entrepreneurship, there's something that really cultivate me, like something that I feel like either you're an entrepreneur or you're just a business person who's trying to create a business, you're creating a business or you're running a business just to be able to have that financial stability. Adaptability is so important, because any successful person, any successful business will tell you have to adapt to change, or otherwise you'll be left behind, And we can see that in trends, and we can see that in technologies and marketing changing, and in relevance and effectiveness, in a whole business environment, that, now we have the AIs, we have all these resources online where you can go and get more skills. You can learn about a certain industry just like that, and we can literally shift, your career, your entrepreneurship, your business to whatever that caters to that market. Adaptability is so important in life and in business as well. So we have to position ourselves knowing that whatever works now, as much as that business idea was so amazing a year ago, it might not really work at this particular time. So we have to adapt in order to grow. Now, the number 5, this is close to my heart because it's negotiation skills. I think I told you guys on the first episode that my father awarded me when I turned 18 this book called How to Negotiate Like a Pro. And that book was the best thing that I've ever read, and I think I've read it like 3 times, and it still applies to today. I think that was back in 2009 or 2008 was kitambo, but developing a strong negotiation skill, just how to persuade people, how to come up with solution and strategies. I feel like from the experience I've had, I've made people who have done amazing well in their career, amazing well in their startups, amazing well in their business, because they can just negotiate better. They can negotiate the salary better. They can negotiate better payment for project. They can negotiate all this kind of stuff. Sometimes we tend to sell ourselves short. And I've always said this, like I always tell people that, I consult, that sometimes even don't lower your price for a client, because at the end of the day, you just have to know how to negotiate better. Because sometimes, at the end of the day, people, it's not like they don't have money to pay, they do. It's just that we don't know how to negotiate better. So guys, learn to negotiate. And that is something that I had to master in order for me to be able to conduct some few things. And I wish I applied that book earlier in life. Now, number 6 is networking. Yes. Okay, this is a bit controversial. So I am the kind of person who never used to think that networking was something that was helping me. But now I feel like there are some relationships that I have made, great relationships I've made because of networking. I believe your network is your net worth, but you have to know what to do with it. I know some of you who are watching me, you can go through your phone and you have really important people on your phone. But it does not mean just because you've connected with them, you have their numbers, they know you, it means they're serving anything in your life. I believe it's so important, first of all, to understand what you need from that network, why you need to network, who do you need to network with, and how would that help you get to the next level in your business. And you have to be very intentional about it. When you meet the person that you have wanted to meet for the longest time, you meet them in an event, in a brunch, in a cocktail event, be straightforward. And I've learned that the hard way. Sometimes I leave an event and I'm like, gosh, I wish I spoke to that person. Oh my God, I wish I did this and this and this. I understand, and I'll talk about it in the next few points. Relationship are built over time, but you have to start somewhere. So just having numbers, just networking, just taking pictures, just saying I went to this networking event and everything doesn't really help anything. Be intentional about it, like what Rehema said on the 3rd episode, that this lady kept going around the table and talking to everybody. Be intentional about it. Networking works, but you have to actually be intentional about it and knowing exactly what you want. So that is something else that I have learned. Right after networking, of course, we have building long-term relationships. One thing that I've learned, people who are still giving me work, people who are still believing in my skills, are people that I have been working with in one or another for probably 2, 3, 4 years. It never happens overnight. Relationships, people that you do business with, clients, people who buy your products, those are human beings. They buy because of you. They don't buy because of the product or the service that you're offering. So creating those relationships are so hard. Trust me, they're hard, because you'll never know who is actually going to be, that client for life, that loyal client, that client that will, come back again. It's like throwing a stone in a dark alley. You don't know who's on the other side, but the good news is it will pay off eventually. Good customer service, creating great relationships, sometimes just saying hi to clients that we haven't talked to for a long time. It's really, really important, because every day, especially in business, people need a certain service, and somehow, somewhere, probably, and this is one thing that I've realized a lot during my career from when I was employed to running my own business. Sometimes when people want something that you don't even offer, but because they believe in you, they trust you, they'll call you like, hey, what's up? Do you know so and so can do this for me? Whoever you're gonna say, they're gonna believe you because they already have that kind of relationship. And it's the same as me. Like, I trust somebody else referring me to somebody who probably, I've never met, and I trust them right away because I trust the person that I've worked with. So that is something also I have learned, and I hope you can be able to apply that in your life, in your business and everything. Don't worry, whichever relationship that you're building or you're starting building right now, it won't happen right away, but you just keep going and eventually it will pay off. With all that, especially when it comes to business, and remember when I was writing these things, I was just thinking about like my timeline and all the things that I've gone through. And number 8 is dealing with criticism. Learning to accept constructive criticism gracefully. That is something else. You can say, you know what, it's okay, I understand, that's your opinion, that's mine, we can agree to disagree, blah 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 blah. But just learning the art of accepting it nicely and being calm and just have this certain level of emotional intelligence is really needed, because you'll always have criticism. People will criticize you in a different way, right, left, and center, and you really have to learn how to take them. And the good thing about that is that criticism, for me, when somebody comes to me and say, one thing I don't like is when somebody comes and say to me, oh, I saw that problem, I just didn't want to tell you. But in real sense, I wish you told me. And people who know me, they know that sometimes I can even, we'll come from a meeting or I'll make a very big decision, and I'll even ask people that I work with, people who work under me, my team, do you think that I made the right decision? You actually have to ask for feedback. Sometimes people don't give you the critics. You need to ask for them. You need to ask for feedback, because that's the only way you can grow. But trust me, learning to take those criticism, learning how to deal with them, it's really, really important in order for you to grow professionally and even personally. Number 9, partnership and collaboration. I don't even want to talk a lot about this, but I think this should be the most careful decision you'll ever make in your life. Like, seriously, either is partner in life, partner as a marriage, partner in business. That's the best decision you'll ever have to make, because they play a vital role in your success and your growth. So that is something that you need to really be assured. Don't be scared to ask questions, because I believe I have gotten myself into trouble before because I wasn't scared of asking questions. I was not scared of negotiating for better terms. I was scared to negotiate for better terms. I was scared to ask uncomfortable questions, and that really put me in a box. So partnership and collaboration, yes, it's good to start business with other people. It's good to when two people with different skills come together and create a business, a company. But trust me, it has broken a lot of friendships. It has broken a lot of relationships in families and so on and so forth. So that is something that is better everybody focus on something, and when you need that person's services, you can collaborate, but for a certain project, and that is it. But partnership, it's another ball game. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how small or big your idea is, or how small your companies or your SMEs. Include the lawyers, ask the necessary questions, get people who understand what partnerships is, research about it, learn more about that before you get into that. So that's all I can say about that. Number 10 is personal branding. I'll say this: how do people define you when you're not there? For me, that's what personal brand is. If people can talk nicely about what you do, your skills, your capability, your abilities to do certain projects, to do certain work, and you are not there, you're talking in a in a positive way or in a negative way, that's your brand. That is, what you present to them. So for me, I'm always like, it doesn't matter how well you paint your brand, it doesn't matter how well you paint yourself, no matter what you believe who you are, people decide who you are. So you have to really, put your foot forward. You have to dress for success. You have to present yourself in a way that people will actually create this brand around you. So I always say that the best way to create a brand is to make sure that you leave a positive image on people, and they can go out there and spread the news about you. Because man, I know people who have seen I've seen that have built their brand. They've spent a lot of money building their brand for the longest time, and just people's comments and people's feedback just destroys that brand in one day. So we have to be very, very careful with the relationship with people. Number 11, it's a bit personal, but it also relates to the career. It's healthy habits. I've realized that for the longest time on my part, we believe that our health is our wealth, and this body is a temple. Right now we're in the age whereby we see our grandparents and our parents having all this type of illnesses. It's not that they were not taking good care of themselves, but this body end up getting tired. So what you eat, how long you sleep, what you drink really, really matters later, because you can really work as hard as you can, but it reaches a point where your body cannot really be as active as, like I always, like Auntie Sadaka was saying, what will the 22-year-old Auntie Sadaka do? What will she say? But in real sense, honestly, we don't, as we grow older, the energy drops as we continue growing. So at the end of the day, you feel like your health, it's really, really, like for me, I feel like our health is really, really important, and it plays a vital role in us actually being able to achieve our goals, to be successful, and so on and so forth. So we have to make sure that what we eat, we drink, what we feed our mind, for mental, emotional, physical, we have to be better. As much as we're investing in money, let's invest in our health. As much as we're investing in business, let's invest in our health as well. Now, number 12 is financial literacy. Man, I know for sure I failed in so many ventures because I was not better at my finances. And sometimes we feel like, that is somebody's job. But as long as you run a company, even when you're employed, even when you're trying to create a brand or business, you have to make sure you educate yourself in when it comes to finances. So financial literacy is really, really important. I remember when I started Area Code, the first person I hired was an accountant and finance person, because I was like, I know everything. I know to design, I know branding, I know everything, but I will give money to somebody who knows taxes, who knows how to do registration, how to do filing, how to do accounting, how to do bookkeeping, because that is something that I don't know. But over the years, I realized I had to educate myself on those things as well. Apart from also just keeping being able to budget effectively, making informed investment decision. That is really, really important, and that can really be the big factors in terms of if you're gonna fail or you're gonna succeed in your business and any venture that you get into. Now, number 13 is power of the tongue. Guys, power of the tongue is real. I kid you not. And I know a lot of people who are more religious, they know that what you say has a big effect on, what will happen. And I can testify to that. Like, I feel like a lot of things that I have told myself when I'm alone, when I tell other people, I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that, most of it have come to pass. Every time I complain about something, I tend to beat myself down. I tend to see the results, and the results are not good. So it's so important to stay positive and be real intentional what you tell yourself and what you, because sometimes like you find that you've applied for that job, you've applied for that tender and you didn't get it, and you're like, you know what, I'm useless, this thing is not working. But at the end of the day, honestly, I feel like when we're positive, when we're speaking power, when we're speaking success when we're speaking, just being just grateful, saying thanks to whatever we have lost or we have gained, especially like the story of Kafka, especially the story of the doll and the goat, because at the end of the day you lose and you learn from that and you grow from those experiences. So power of the tongue, guys. Speak positive, speak positive. Number 14, we only have 6 to go. Emotional intelligence. Woo! Hey. I have been a leader, I have led teams, and that's when I realized why emotional intelligence is so important. I think when it comes to emotional intelligence, I think it really plays in a part of being aware, and just knowing where how to navigate your emotions and how to navigate even like through conflict management, and just improving your relationship and leadership effectiveness, especially when you are a leader, especially when you are trying to create this company where people work under that. I feel like sometimes we're so emotional, especially as women. We tend to make decisions out of our emotions, tend to make decisions out of the way we feel at that particular time, and that is really, really bad. I have learned to stop before making any decision. I've learned to think about it before saying something, especially when it comes to business and decisions that sometimes we can't reverse them back. So I feel like it all comes from emotional intelligence and just being able to have that self-awareness, because everybody's different. Even if you go for emotional intelligence training, or even if you read books, even 100 books, you still have to look within you and figure out what works, what takes, why you react a certain way, what you should do in order to change that, and so on and so forth. So self-awareness, guys, it's so important. And that comes down to not conflict resolution, which is number 15. I have realized that people say this all the time: there are no enemies and are no permanent enemies and permanent friends in politics, but I believe it applies in business as well. So sometimes I look back and I say, okay, there are conflicts that didn't, they're not, effectively resolved, but there are those that were really important, relationships that are really important, that I had to resolve those conflicts in the best way possible, especially when you still need maybe that client, maybe that partner, maybe that person's skills. It's really, really important to have like open communication, be able to have that active listeningship. Like, you have to understand how to resolve issues that arises while you're conducting businesses. And it's really, really important in the long run, because honestly speaking, it also just shows your emotional intelligence. It shows the kind of person that they're working with, and just being a bigger person, especially when it comes to conflicts. Number 16 is leadership. What I've learned about leadership is not the things you say, it's the things you do. And people always respect you for what they see you do, the things that you've achieved, the moves you're taking, than because I believe like a lot of leaders we teach, we emphasize on things, but we don't actually put that in action ourselves. So at the end of the day, I believe that, there's a lot of things that I've learned about leadership, of course, but I feel like it's all about, your actions. But another thing also I've learned about leadership is just a balanced act, between just being tough and having all these tough decisions, and have empathy on people, because people who you're working with are human beings, and so on and so forth. As long as you're not crossing that line, as long as you're not showing that weakness, as long as you're staying firm to your decisions, sometimes just go easy on people, empathize with people, understand people's psychology, and emotional intelligence. You can use a bit of emotional intelligence here and there, but it's really, really important when it comes to leadership. Number 17, tech savvy. I don't know anyone right now who's making good money who is not tech savvy. And I'm not talking about knowing coding and all those kind of, just even if you are running a small business, you're running a small company, at least know the basic stuff. I feel like a lot of people are being conned, a lot of people are spending a lot of money when they're starting business, because of course we're wearing different hats. But right now, information is everything. That is everything. Knowing what is supposed to be done is everything, and all the information is out there free of charge. I've heard somebody who was once being charged to open a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? If you do not educate yourself, if you do not know at least the basic stuff, you really struggle, especially because now we're doing, everything is online, from YouTube to Instagram to LinkedIn. People are getting jobs, people are building careers, people are working online, people are working remotely. Everything comes easy, especially when you decide that, you're gonna know a bit of, just embracing technology in a nutshell. Just a bit of digital tools. This is a digital age, and if you are not going with the program, you'll be left behind. Trust me. Number 18, work-life balance. There's no such thing. I'm sorry, there's no such thing. You'll always be better to what you give most of your time to. There's no such thing. Maybe in 5 years I will have or maybe next year I'll tell you guys that I found, there's a key to that. I don't think there's such thing. I think technically it's doable, but it's not realistic. I feel like there are days that you focus more on something else, and the days that you can focus more maybe in your personal life, and there are days that you feel energetic and you want to work and you want to do all this kind of, you feel like you want to get into different ventures and everything. But work-life balance, this is my experience. I don't know about your experience, and I really love to hear from you guys, but there's no such thing. Anyway, number 19, setting goals. I feel like as much as success is personal, we have to have goals in life. We have to have a roadmap. Even though I know for sure, maybe this year will end in a different way, not the way I planned, but at least have a plan. And setting those goals is so, so important, because you have something to look forward to. Because sometimes life can be so hectic. Sometimes especially when you're running a business, it can be so draining, it can be so frustrating. And just having something that you look forward to, it's really, really important. It can be small goals, just monthly goals. Like I said this year, I have to do this with my YouTube channel. I might not be doing the way, going with the pace that I wanted to go, but I am still doing it. So I feel like there's something to celebrate there. I feel like it's so important to have goals, to have a roadmap. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. We cannot plan. That is something that we're not sure. Only God knows. But it's so important to have goals so we can have that, roadmap. And number 20, like I just said, celebrate milestones, man. It's too tough sometimes. Even when you're working, even when you're doing business, whichever career you are in right now, whichever industry you're in, just celebrate those milestones. It makes it so much better. It makes it, so worth it. Because yes, sometimes you work so hard and you don't even see the money, because probably it all goes back to paying bills and so on and so forth. But because you have those goals, because you have those milestones, just those small celebration just keeps us insane, Trust me. It keeps me insane. I don't know about you guys. So guys, those are the 20 lessons that I wanted to share with you guys. Of course, I have some personal ones. I've written them down for myself to read later, or maybe I'll share them as well later. But I really wanted to talk about the career part and the things that I have learned throughout all this year. And just like that girl, never give up. Never give up. We are in this journey. And I know that we're going to get, come out better, on the other side, and whatever we're losing now, either is sleep, either is we haven't eaten lunch, either is that break, either we don't have money to go for vacation, either it's like we don't have time to go for that spa and have your hair done and everything. Guys, it's going to be okay. It's all going to be worth it at the end of the day. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening from the beginning to an end. This has been What I Know, the podcast by Nahuja Hatibu. See you guys on the next one. Bye.